So in this video, we'll learn about project monitoring and control in module 5. Before going to project monitoring and control, so we'll quickly review some of the topics that we discussed earlier classes, which are useful to discuss about monitoring and control. Okay, so now we are in this step actually, step 7. So before going to the step 7, we'll discuss about the step 5 and 6 quickly. So what step 5 says estimate efforts. Okay, estimating the project effort. So what do you mean effort? Calculating how many human resources are required to develop the complete project. Okay, so in order to estimate the effort of the software project development, we have different methodologies. So we'll see that methodologies quickly. So the first one is lines of code. So what happens in lines of code? We are counting the number of lines of code is implemented in the whole project. So initially, the project is divided into various modules. Each module is divided into furtherly submodules into various sub modules until finding the lower level elements called objects or grains. So here we are trying to identifying objects. Why objects? Why objects are playing key role in project development. So what is an object? Object is a real world entity. Okay, object is a real world entity. So during project development, we are trying to identifying the various real world entities that are existing in the project. Okay, so that is from top to bottom. Okay, after identifying this, we need to implement the each and every object and the parent object, grandparent objects and great grandparent objects until finding the solution for the top level project. Okay, so here we have to count all the lines of code that are implemented in object, parent object, grandparent object, great grandparent objects. Okay, so that is happening in lines of code estimation methodology. So counts the lines of code implemented in the whole project and estimates the effort. So prior to development, we will estimate, that is a planned. Okay, planned effort. Okay, so during development we are trying to estimating the effort again. So in order to deliver the product to the client by the given deadline, we are estimating. So that is simply we are checking whether we are working according to the schedule given by the management or not. Okay, in this lines of code, how we will find effort by using three techniques, that is cost per line, total project cost and effort. Okay, each line is estimated in terms of financially, in terms of human resources, in terms of software resources, in terms of hardware resources. Okay, each line is estimated. Okay, and then using this cost per line, will estimate the total project cost. Okay, here we'll estimate each line in object. Okay, parent object and grandparent object and so on. Okay, after identifying individual objects, the cost per object, cost per parent object, cost per grandparent object and so on. Okay, so we'll estimate the total project, that is the cumulative project cost. Okay, after identifying this, we'll estimate the effort which is useful, how many human resources are required to develop the whole project. Okay, that is happening in lines of code estimation methodology. The second methodology is function point. Already we are having lines of code. What is the need of function point? So if you see here lines of code, we have to estimate the cost for each line. If it is a small scale project, we can estimate the cost for object and parent object and grandparent object if it is small scale project. If it is a large scale project, it's not easy to estimate all the project cost at a time in a overnight. So we have to estimate the whole project cost using the other methodology called function point. Okay, so what happens in function point? So here we are trying to identifying the various functionalities that we are providing through the system. So that we discussed in step 1, project scope and objectives. Okay, so what are the various functionalities are defined in project scope? Okay, so those functionalities are estimated, okay, in terms of function points. In terms of function point, so counts the function points implemented in the whole project and estimates the effort of each object, parent object, and so on, in terms of function points. Okay, so how to find this functionality? Okay, these functionalities are divided into furtherly various functional units. So majorly 5 functional units. Okay, number of external inputs that we are supplying to the system, the number of external outputs that we are generating, and the number of external inquiries that are made by the system internally, and various internal logical files, and the number of external interface files that are used in the project development. Okay, these are the 5 functional units. Using these functional units, will calculate function point. After calculating the function point, for each function point we have to estimate the cost for each function point, parent function point, grandparent function point, and so on. Then using this cost per function point, will estimate the total project cost. Okay, after finding the total project cost, will estimate the effort. Okay, so comes to this lines of code. Here we are estimating for line. Comes to function point, we are estimating for each function point. Then the third methodology, COCOMO models, constructive cost models. So these are also called as empirical estimation methodologies. So these are useful to estimate the effort. Okay, to in order to complete the project on time. Okay, COCOMO models are useful to estimate the effort effectively. Okay, empirical estimation models are used to estimate the effort effectively. Okay, so basically these COCOMO models are divided into 3 types: basic COCOMO model, intermediate COCOMO model, and detailed COCOMO models. So basic COCOMO model is used to develop the small scale projects. Intermediate COCOMO models are used to develop the medium scale projects. Detailed COCOMO models are used to develop the large scale projects. So anyhow, these COCOMO models are used COCOMO modes to in order to estimate the effort of the total project. Okay, so these 3 COCOMO modes are organic COCOMO mode, semi-detached mode, embedded mode. So we have to calculate basic organic, basic semi-detached, basic embedded, intermediate organic, intermediate semi-detached, intermediate embedded, and so on. Okay, depends on the situation. So when will we use organic COCOMO mode? Depends on the size. Okay, if the size is between 2000 lines of code to 50,000 lines of code, we can use organic COCOMO mode. So when will we use semi-detached mode? If the size is in between 50,000 lines of code to 3 lakhs lines of code, we'll use semi-detached mode. So other than 3 lakhs lines of code. So if more than 3 lakhs lines of code, that is embedded COCOMO mode. Okay, using these COCOMO models, will estimate the effort of the whole project effectively. Then activity planning. So in this case, we are scheduling the activities. First, we have to identify the various activities that are involved in the software project development. After identifying the all activities, we have to schedule. So what do you mean scheduling? So here we are starting with the problem not as a single entity. The problem is divided into smaller subproblems called modules. Each module is furtherly divided into submodules, submodules into submodules, and so on. Okay, so we have to give the schedule for each part of this project. That is task, subtask, subtask, and so on, or product, modules, submodules, submodules, and so on. Okay, so when should we start the particular task? When should we start the particular subtask? When should we start the particular subtask? At the same time, when should we finish the task? When should we finish the subtask? That we have to schedule in activity planning. After scheduling the activities, we have to identify or calculate the effort of the whole project. We'll see how. Okay, scheduling the activities, project scheduling. So in order to schedule the project activities, so we will use three methodologies. First one is activity based approach, second one is a product based approach, third one is hybrid based approach. So it comes to the first approach, activity based approach. Here we are identifying the various tasks, subtasks and sub tasks in terms of activities. Okay, so these are called lower level. Then product based approach. So in this case we are trying to identifying the various project products called project deliverables. Okay, called also work products or work tasks. Okay, and hybrid approach is a combination of both activity based approach and product based approach. So after identifying all the activities, we will use this approach and estimates the effort. Okay, so that is when should we start the first activity and second activity, third activity and so on. Okay, same time the deadlines of the activities, okay, is scheduled in project scheduling in terms of activity planning. Next, the methodology is critical path analysis and critical path method. So in activity planning, the various project tasks or activities are scheduled from day 1 to day n. So by according to the deadline given by the client, okay, we will schedule the activities. We have to finish the activities by that deadlines only. Okay, so by any chance, if any activity or task is delayed, okay, called critical activity, okay, or critical task. Okay, sometimes some of the tasks are not finished by the given deadline, so they take more time. Okay, those tasks are called critical tasks or critical activities. Okay, so to identify those critical activities, we'll use critical path analysis or critical path method. Okay, in order to find critical activities, we'll use critical path analysis and critical path method. Okay, finds the critical path and critical activities. Okay, so these are calculated by using a deterministic time. Okay, for every project product, for every module, sub module, sub module and so on, objects. Okay, the different time intervals are given. That is the start time of the object, start time of the parent object, start time of the grandparent object and so on. Okay, or start time of the subtask, start time of the parent task. Okay, start time of the grandparent task and so on. Okay, so the corresponding deadline means target date to finish the activity, sub activity, sub activity, task, subtask, sub task. Okay, so those are called deterministic times. Okay, then we'll use other methodology called part in this step, identifying activity risks. Okay, project evaluation review techniques. Okay, so part and CPM both are similar in a similar way. We are trying to find the critical path. Okay, so these two are differentiating one way that we'll see that differentiation. Okay, so part also used to find critical path and critical activities. So finds the critical path and estimating the probability of meeting or missing target dates. Okay. So these two methodologies, part and CPM, are used to calculate or to identify the various critical tasks, critical activities that are existed in the project development. Okay. So here every activity is having some time intervals. Those time intervals are divided into three types in terms of non-deterministic time intervals. Okay, non-deterministic time interval. That is optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic. So optimistic is nothing but the best case that we have to start and finish. Most likely, that is the average case to start and finish. Okay, pessimistic, the worst case to start and finish the activities or tasks. Okay, so these are the various methodologies are used to estimate the effort of the whole project. Okay, so now we will learn in this video about this step, allocate resources. In coming class also we are going discussing about this step, allocate resources step. Okay, that is monitoring and control, monitoring the whole project and controlling the project. What is the need of controlling? Okay, so generally we are implementing the solution for a problem not as a single unit. Okay, when we collect the requirements from the client, those requirements are defined in terms of a problem. That problem is divided into various modules. Each module is further divided into submodules, submodules into submodules, and so on. Okay, so we have to schedule the resources. Okay, so when we schedule the resources, we have to keep it in mind the start time of each task and end time of the each task. It's not an easy thing. Okay, if it is a large scale project, it's a very typical thing. So in order to maintain that, we will learn monitoring and control. Okay, so creating a framework. So to monitor and control the whole project, we will create a framework. That is the first concept that we are going to learning in this video. Okay, so as part of creating framework, we'll monitor the progress of what? Progress of project, progress of modules, progress of submodules, progress of submodules, and so on. The same time, cost of the whole project, cost of the modules, cost of the submodules, and so on. Okay, earned value analysis. As part of the software project development will estimate end value analysis, the returns on investment, ROI. Okay, so we'll see that in coming classes. Next, defects tracking. Okay, are there any defects are existed during project development? Okay, identifying the defects and tracking. So this already we discussed in previous classes in risk analysis. And then issues tracking. After identifying the issues, okay, so we will track that issues. Okay, when the issue was generated, when it is resolved, all those things are need to maintain. Finally, preparing a report on all the project products or project deliverables, status reports, report of project, report of modules, report of submodules, report of submodules, and so on until for objects. Okay, that is the first part, creating a framework for monitoring and control. And the second part, types of resources. In this case, we are trying to identify the various resources as per the problem definition. Okay, so here resources are nothing but the various human resources are required, and the various software resources are required, the various hardware resources are required, and the various other environmental factors that are required to develop the project. Okay, that we are identifying. After identifying the resources, allocating the resources. So what is the need to allocating the resources? We can allot the resources for the project. Okay, what do you mean project? The project is divided into modules, modules, submodules, and so on. Okay, so we have to allot the resource, how many human resources are required to develop the project, at the same time module, same time submodules, and so on. Okay, that we are allocating. So how could we allocate using resource scheduling? Okay, so scheduling the resources, how many human resources, software resources are required to develop subtasks, to develop task, to develop final solution for the problem. Okay, we'll see in this session creating a framework. Okay, so what is the need of framework? In order to monitoring and control the whole project, the whole project, we need a framework. So this framework is useful exercising control over a project and ensuring the targets are met. Okay, so in project development, the project is divided into modules, module into submodules, and so on. Okay, every submodule is having the start date and end date. Every module is having the start date and end date. So by the start date we have to start the activity, and by the end date we have to finish the activity. So that we are ensuring whether targets are meeting or not. That is nothing but whether we are following the schedule that is given by the management. Okay, that we are ensuring. This framework is ensuring that whether targets are meeting or not. At the same time, we are checking are the requirements are meeting or not, that are defined by the client and defined by the management. Okay, then framework is also useful finding out what is happening and comparing it with the targets. Okay, so by any chance, if any activity is delayed, okay, in order to finish the project, okay, if any activity takes more time than the planned time, okay, called critical activities. Okay, finding the critical activities. Okay, if any activity takes uh, more time than the planned time, okay, identifying those activities. Okay, we are always checking whether we are working according with the target dates or not. Okay, so while checking if any mismatch is existed, existence of mismatch between planned outcome and actual ones. So here we are checking what do you mean planned outcome. So prior to development will estimate the effort, cost, quality, etc., etc., are defined. So what is the effort defined prior to development? What is the effort that we are applying on current project? Okay, whether matching or not. And cost, what is the cost estimated prior to the development? What is the amount that we spent on that day, up to that date? Okay, at the same time quality, what is the quality is defined earlier. Are we achieving the same quality or not? Like this way various parameters that we discussed in the regular classes: functionality, usability, reliability, performance, stability, scalability, optimality, adaptability, etc., etc., are all are meeting or not according to the schedule or not. Okay, or means all the project products are meeting the targets or not. Okay, if any mismatch is existed, if the mismatch is low, okay, so we won't bother about that. If the mismatch is high, means if there is a lot of difference, if the gap is more, we need to replan the activities. Replanning may then be needed to bring the project back on target. Okay, replan, we need to replan all the project products. Okay, so at top level you are having high level data, it is called product description. In the intermediate level you are having middle level work products or project products. In the lower level you are having objects or work tasks. So this is the need of framework. Okay, so during project development, to monitor and control all the project products and work tasks, we need a framework. Now, project control cycle. In order to control the whole project, okay. So, we'll start the project, publish initial plan. That is collecting the requirements from the client for the whole problem. After collecting the requirements, refine it and collects the requirements as per the industry need and satisfying the user or client. Okay, gather project information according to the industry need and users perspective. Okay, and then start implementation and proceed towards finishing the project. Okay, while finishing the project, compare progress versus targets. So as we discussed earlier, every submodule, every submodule and module are having the target dates. So what even target dates? The time that we have to start the particular submodule, the start time of this module, submodule, and end time of this submodule. Okay, so like this way for all project products, some deadlines are given. So those deadlines are meeting or not. At the same time, the various parameters, functionality, usability, reliability, performance, stability, etc., etc., parameters are meeting or not in terms of submodules and modules and so on. Okay, that we are checking here. If it is satisfied, we'll continue. Otherwise, take the remedial action. So that is which object, which parent object, which grandparent object, or which work task, or which subtask is not satisfying. Identifying those activities or project products and plan the alternate solution called remedial action. Okay, plan the alternate solution for the this. So what are these? These are what called critical activities. Okay, identify the alternate solution for critical activities. So what even critical activity? An activity takes more time than the planned time or scheduled time. Okay, is what called critical activity. Okay, if any critical activity is existed in the project development, it shows the impact on the remaining depending activities. For example, if you take this, so it's a part of this module. Okay, so for this module, the deadline, the time is given 10 days, assume the case. Okay, so this 10 days is split into submodule 1 and submodule 2 for your understanding sake. So it is for this 5 days are given, for this 5 days are given. Okay, so if it takes 7 days, what happens? So it has to, this model has to wait until it finishes. Okay, if both are parallel activities, no problem. Okay, both are not parallel activities, so nothing but if it is depending on this critical activity, if it depends on this, so when it will start, whenever it finishes. Okay, if it takes more than the planned, actually 5 days are allotted to this task to finish, but it takes 2 more days extra. Okay, what happens, we need to finish this task in the remaining time. What is the remaining time? 3 days. Okay, if it takes more than that, okay, actually it requires 5 days, but we left with the 3 days. Okay, 3 days are not sufficient. What we have to do? It takes 2 more days. So what happens? So it will be delivered lately. So these are what called critical activities. Okay, plan the alternate solution for this kind of scenarios. Okay, and publish the revised plan, the alternate plan. Okay, and get approval with the client and management and continue the process like a cyclic. Okay, if it is satisfied. Okay, so all are working according to the schedule and finishing the according to the schedule. Okay, now we need to check whether project is completed or not. Okay, so what do you mean project? This. Okay, whether if any module is finished, we need to check whether the module is finished or the whole project is finished. So if someone says the my job is finished, okay, for example, person A allotted sm1 submodule 1. So if the person one says my job is finished, means we need to check whether it's his job only finished all or the whole project is finished. No, his job means submodule 1 solution is completed. It's a part of module. So we need to finish this. So when will we finish this? Whenever we find solution for all its child problems for all these. Okay. Then we'll get the solution for this. So when will we find solution for this? Whenever you find solution for all its childs for these. Okay. Then only you will get the solution. Okay. That we have to check whether the particular task is completed, the whole project is completed. That we have to check. Okay, here. So if it is a task is completed, we'll continue the process. If the project is completed, we'll end the project and reviews the project. So what do you mean reviewing here? So here reviewing the quality of the project. So what is the defined quality? Is the quality is achieved or not? Okay, so that we are reviewing, and at the same time what are the functionalities are defined, or all the functionalities are implemented or not. What is the performance issues are defined, or all the performance issues are addressed or not, that we are checking. Once it is accepted by the client, we need to document the whole solution and the project. So this is for the whole project. This is for the whole project. Similarly, for every project deliverables. So what do you mean deliverable? So this is what called a project product or project deliverable. So initially the problem called project description is divided into modules, modules into submodules, submodules into sub-submodules, and so on. Okay, so so in the previous case we evaluated for the whole project. Now in this case we'll evaluate for the project deliverables, that are intermediate project products. Okay, monitoring the progress of sub module, same way submodule, same way other submodules, and so on. Okay, like this way from bottom to top. Bottom up approach will evaluate the progress of each and every project, tasks, subtasks, and so on. Okay, so monitors the progress of all the project products called work products. Okay, and then evaluate the progress. So what is happening here? Evaluating, that is whether we are finishing according to the schedule or not, or is there any delay in finishing the tasks, that we are checking. Okay, so if there is any delay, okay, if there is any delay, so that is some critical activities are existed. Okay, so find the alternate solution, that is assess possible control actions. Okay, and plan the alternate solution, select and implement control action plan, and review with the other project products, and repeats the whole process. Okay, so whenever you evaluate the project product progress, if anyone is satisfied, okay, so we'll integrate with the other modules, and again we will evaluate, because when you will get the solution for this, whenever you find the solution for its next level, what are there in its next level? Modules. Okay, every module is having sub modules, every sub modules are having sub modules, and so on. So here, in order to get the solution for this problem, we need to get the solution for this, we need to find a solution for this. Okay, if you want get the solution for this, you need to find a solution for this. So what happens here? This module is integrated with other modules. Individually every module may work, but whenever we integrate the one module with the other modules, according to the dependencies are existed, sometimes may support, may not support. Okay, so that's why we have to integrate with others and evaluate the progress of all the project products. When they works perfectly, then we'll find the solution for the final problem. Okay, so this is a monitoring and control cycle of work products. Then attaining targets, achieving the targets. What do you mean achieving the targets? So here I told you, every project product is having start date, end date. Okay, so that we are checking here. Okay, achieving the target, that is nothing but are we working according to the schedule or not, is there any delay? If any delay is existed, how to overcome that? Okay, so that is a shortfalls are existed in the project development. Okay, so in project development, the various activities are in, every activity is having a early start and earliest finish. Okay, so this activity has to start by this time and finish by this time. By any chance, if any activity is delayed, if any activity is delayed, what is the maximum we can wait? That is the waiting period. This is the waiting latest time to start. Okay, if the activity is started by this time, what is the latest finish time? Okay, this is the maximum time that we can spend for, on this activity, not the project, on this activity. Okay, so these are happening generally when critical activities are existed. So if any critical activities existed, it's not easy to achieve the targets, so we are trying to finding those. Okay, so shortfalls are existed, delays in meeting target dates. So why delays are happening? Generally the project is always getting delayed to deliver to the client because of changes existed. Okay, changes, due to changes suggested by the client. Okay, so we have to accommodate the changes. Okay, why? The greatest advantage of software is flexibility. Okay. The software can support changes at any time during development, that is from analysis to maintenance time. Okay, so we have to accommodate the changes as per the client need or demand. Okay, so whenever you try to add the change, what happens? It shows the impact on the remaining depending activities, not all the activities. If it is having a link with other activities, remaining depending activities. Okay, so delays in meeting target dates. Then shortfalls in quality. Okay, so when depending activities are existed in the software development, definitely quality is affected. Okay. For example, take the case Google products. What are various Google products? Gmail, YouTube, Google Map, Photos, Drive, etc., etc. So you have one situation, that is you want to send a large file to your friend. So what you will use? For example, 100 MB file or 1 GB file. So will you use Drive, Google Drive? Okay. So if you want access Google Drive, you have to use Gmail. Without Gmail, you cannot use the Google Drive. So there is a dependencies existed. The Drive depends on registration and login. Okay. So here the quality is varying. Okay. So shortfalls in achieving qualities, and then inadequate functionality. So what do you mean functionality? So that we discuss in step one, project scope and objectives, the various functionalities that we are providing through the system. Okay, the various functionalities. So whenever the change is suggested by the client, so the functionalities also will change. Functionalities also will change according to these changes. We have to change wherever required. Okay. So it's not easy to deliver on time due to changes in functionalities and cost increasing. Okay. Prior to development, will estimate the cost. Whenever change is suggested, we have to accommodate the change. So ultimately the cost also increases. Okay. So like this way, we'll estimate the various shortfalls existed in achieving the targets, that is finishing the tasks 1 to task n. Okay. So the shortfalls due to changes in requirements, dependency existed in activities, non-availability of resources. So what do you mean resources? The various human resources, software resources, hardware resources, and other environmental factors are resources. Okay. So due to these problems, so it's not easy to achieve the targets. That is nothing but scheduling the, sorry, following the